Ahoy and welcome. I am Lee the Pirate Tester, and welcome to the latest episode of Testing Tales, where today I'm joined by Gareth Waterhouse. Welcome, Gareth.
Hey Lee, how you doing?
Doing well. Thank you for coming along today and wanting to speak with me and all the viewers.
No problem, mate. No problem at all.
First of all, would you like to introduce yourself and give everyone a little bit of an idea of who you are?
I'm Gareth, as Lee mentioned. I am a principal test engineer at ASOS. I've been in testing for around 15 years now, but that isn't to say testing is all I do, all I care about. I'm very much around the people side of things as well. Having been an engineering manager for just over a year, I think it's important and taking the skills from testing into engineering management and now back from engineering management back into testing, my first love, as they say.
You can take the tester out of testing, but you can't take the testing out of the tester?
100%. 100%. I think one of the things I missed the most was the testing community. I didn't really look for it in the engineering management community, but I didn't really see anything that rivaled the testing community.
I mean, I haven't looked too much at other communities, but it does seem the testing community is very unique. We are very engaged, very supportive, not judgmental, and all this kind of stuff. I mean, that's how I'm able to do these videos. So I throw myself out to be like, "Hey, who would like to do a video?" And I get you and plenty of others going, "Yeah, I'd love to talk about testing." So it's wonderful.
100%. And I think there's such a diverse background of different types of people, both in terms of gender, in terms of their experiences, in terms of their history, and we all come together and support and help each other, which is great to see.
Yeah, it's not like we're factoried out from university of you've done a CS degree, off be a programmer, off be a programmer. It is people have come in from all sorts of different journeys.
And I'm yet to meet someone who, when you ask how they got into testing, they said, I always wanted to be a tester. It was something I set out from an early age to do. Whereas I think in other industries and other disciplines, you do get that, especially in development and things like that, and engineering, software engineering. Yeah, their goal, their dream was to be a software engineer. I am yet to see someone whose goal and dream was to be a software tester.
I mean, I think part of that is not enough people know our job exists until it's, I don't want to say too late, but until they fall into it, or someone's like, "Hey, would you like to do this?" And like, that's a thing? You're going to pay me to do this? I think the only exception is possibly like testing in games. Like they've heard of that, and that's it.
Yeah. I think like looking back at university, for instance, there was no testing course, or if it was, there was very touched on briefly and then moved on. And I think it's one of the things I love and can really get behind the Make a Tester movement. I think Simon Pryor is doing, and others as well.
Yeah, he's like
really important. Yeah, just important to highlight kind of what it is we do, how we do it, and that it is a career option for people, and that we do encourage people and grow and develop, and all the benefits of being a software tester as well as part of that.
It's fantastic. So you mentioned you didn't do testing as part of university. So what did you like? Did you do a CS degree, or did you do something else entirely?
Yeah, so we did a computer science degree in, I think the title was Multimedia Productions and Internet Technology. So I mean, coming out of university, I think it was around the time of the first recession, based on what's coming up. Yeah, the recession of around 2011, I think it was 2010, maybe a bit earlier. But I must have been early. It must have been 2008, I think. But it was difficult to get a job. And I ended up kind of doing my own thing, working with some friends and kind of doing little bits here and there. I created a company called Waterhouse Multimedia Design, which was an acronym of WMD, which at the time I thought was interesting. But I would do like filming, I'd do DVDs, websites, all through friends. And then but it wasn't really enough to kind of move on and kind of almost support myself, I suppose. And I got a phone call from a relatively small consultancy at the time. They spoke to me about testing and what it would involve, and they'd take me on. So I got the job. I did the ICEP, as it was called then. Now it's the ICQB. And I was sort of, hey, now I know what I'm doing. I'm a certified tester. I can do whatever it takes to be. So yeah, that was kind of how I ended up getting into testing. And like I said, I think people fall into testing, especially at that age. I think it's easier to move into testing from somewhere like a support background or customer care background, because you see kind of the benefits of it firsthand. Then you can see what testing can do to help you in terms of support and in terms of customer care. And then I do see a lot of people moving from that direction and wanting to get into testing, but they've been made aware that it is there and it is an option for them.
Especially if they've had to support with, say, some user acceptance testing or
Precisely.
things being
Yeah.
released. They're like, okay, you can help with that. And then it's like, that's just the tip of the spear. And they're like, oh, there's a lot more to this.
Yes, exactly. And what I will say about the consultancy, it was a great experience. It's a great way to kind of learn more about software testing because you are thrown in at the deep end. You are kind of using things you wouldn't use before. You'd have access to kind of different applications you're testing, and it's very kind of fast paced. And you have to learn on the job. You have to get up to speed quickly, and I think that's set me in good stead. For the rest of my career, really.
Now I know, as well as you've journeyed through various roles and in and out of testing, you've also done a lot of conference talks, and not only have you previously given talks, but you have one coming soon. So would you like to share that?
Of course. So yeah, this all came about. I think it's important, obviously, as a tester, to really tell a story, whether that be through a bug report, whether that be through the testing that you're doing, how you're doing it, even in terms of presenting your ideas to people and kind of getting them on board with it, and just really connecting with people. I think it's important to be able to tailor your story to the audience that you're talking to. And you've got to be thinking there's probably a conference talk in there around kind of, I am traditionally quite, I was maybe not now so much, an introverted person. I was never really very good at telling stories, and I would rely on other people to kind of, I'd start a story and just let other people finish it because they can do a far better, they could do a far better job than myself. And then it got me realizing that in order to really kind of do all of these things, tell your story, get people on board, influence people, persuade people, you need to be able to tell a story. You need to be able to connect with those people through that story. So I decided to kind of come up with an idea around a talk around storytelling for testers, and that will kind of touch on all of these topics. It will talk on kind of the benefits of storytelling, kind of how you might struggle to tell a story, and maybe even looking into kind of telling a story remotely versus telling a story in person, because I think they are two different things, and probably you want to tailor it slightly differently according to kind of the format that you're giving it in. So yeah, so I submitted the talk, it got accepted. They asked if I'd be keen to do a workshop, and I think it would work well in a workshop. I'm yet to kind of figure out the finer details of that workshop, but it's something I'll work with the Ministry of Testing on over the next few months, I guess, because thankfully it is a few months away. But yeah, it would definitely lend itself to a workshop, and obviously the talk as well will kind of just give it in a kind of different format again.
And that sounds amazing, because I love that. To me, being a good storyteller is a sign of a good tester, because if you can find the most devastating bug in the world, if you can't explain it well, especially not just this is broken, but the impact it can have, make people understand the problems, that's great, because if you can't sell the story, it's like you never found it.
Yeah, and I mean, there was a time in my back when I was new to testing, like I think I did struggle to tell these stories, and there were times when I would come up with an idea, I would try to articulate it, but it never quite landed. And then there's a specific time when someone else took the idea and kind of managed to tell a better story around it, and they managed to get the buy-in, and it became their kind of idea, which resonated with me because it didn't seem right at the time. But looking back, you need to be able to tell your story. You need to be able to get that buy-in. You need to be able to influence people, and storytelling is a small part of that as well.
That's really good. So if people are interested in that, that's going to be at Test Bash UK, which is in Manchester, unsurprisingly in the UK, and that's the 22nd and 23rd of September. And I know for myself, I'm hoping to be able to go to it to see what happens with work and time and so forth. And then I know for the conferences, it's great because it's all single track. The workshops, it's going to be a case of, there's several things, like a couple of things will be clashing. So it's like, right, how do I pick which thing to go for? And yeah, so hopefully I'll be able to see it firsthand. But I know, worst case, at least the talks are recorded and I'll be able to watch back later.
Yeah, I think that's the great thing about test batches. That, like I say, it is recorded. You can watch it back later, and it makes it more accessible for people who aren't in the UK as well.
Or even those of us who just can't even get to it.
Yeah.
For people who are interested in testing or just started getting into testing, do you have any advice for them? And I imagine telling your stories well is going to be one of them.
Yeah, I think like anything, when you start on a journey, I think it's important to kind of know, or at least have an idea of where you're going and how to get there. And I think obviously a key part of that is kind of getting involved in things like the community, finding yourself people who you can learn from, people who you can talk to, building those relationships. If you don't build those relationships, you don't have people you can talk to, it's going to be very difficult for you to kind of understand what you need to do next in order to progress, in order to develop, whether that be awareness of tools that are coming up, whether that be awareness kind of techniques, that you can use in your testing. I don't think it's not a case anymore, well, never really was, I guess, of doing a certification and that is it. Like, I think one of the great things about working in testing and working in tech in general is every day is a school day. You are learning something new every single day of your career. What I also love is, like, I'll be out and about, whether that be like just on a run or even at like football and things like that, and you'll see something, you think, I can take that and I can adapt it slightly. Especially listening to coaches and managers talk about how they are working with their teams, how they're developing their teams and things. You can take things in different kind of areas of sport, in different areas of businesses outside, and apply them to testing, apply them to tech. But I think that's something that does excite me. That's something I do enjoy doing. How that helps people get into testing, I think it's just take inspiration from anywhere and look at how that can help you in your testing career, I guess.
That's fantastic. Have you got an example of, particularly like say from like football coaches or something, that you've been able to apply yourself? Very much putting you on the spot there.
Yeah, pretty much. But a very simple one, I guess. Like, I think Roy Keane, he used to be some of the manager, and I won't get into how much I love him as a person. But I think he say, fail to prepare, prepare to fail. Right, that is a simple thing you can take in any work of life. If you fail to prepare, chances are you're going to fail. And it comes in kind of even doing this talk, like, obviously, some people, fair play to them, are probably able to come in this talk and just talk to you nonstop, like, for ages, and no planning at all. Whereas I very much like to kind of have an idea of the things I want to talk about, make some notes, and kind of out of that planning, I guess, new things come out, and it kind of makes the conversation a lot easier. But I mean, let's apply to testing. Like, if you fail to prepare your testing, chances are it's not going to be that effective. And I think having an idea of what you're trying to do and just planning ahead obviously make things a lot easier. And there will be things that come along and knock you sideways a bit, but being able to adapt the plan as well, I guess.
Wonderful. So I hope your words have given people encouragement and ideas, not just, as I say, about testing, but looking for things outside of testing that they might not even consider. Like, hang on a minute, I can take that over here and apply it to what I want to do or where I want to be.
I used to do some blog posts. I think movie quotes apply to software engineering, and I have no idea where they are nowadays. But just things like that, taking movie quotes and kind of applying them to software testing, software engineering. It's just something fun. I use that term loosely, but yeah, something fun to do, I guess.
Everyone has a different idea of fun.
Exactly.
If people want to find you online, where's the best places they can find you?
Probably Twitter, Waterhouse85, but obviously I am active on LinkedIn as well. It comes part and parcel, I guess, trying to share and help other people as well. Yeah, Twitter and LinkedIn, I would say.
Thank you very much for speaking with me today, Gareth. It's been a lovely conversation. I hope it's been very helpful for everyone watching. If you have any thoughts or questions, please reach out to us on Twitter. You can get Gareth on LinkedIn as well, or pop it in the comments below. Thank you all, and see you in the next episode.